In this video, I'm going to be installing a Dometic RTX 2000 air conditioning unit. Heard a lot of good things about this unit. It's a 12 volt system that will run off of your house batteries and without even being connected to shore power because it's pretty low consumption. The footprint is pretty small, so I was able to fit this comfortably on the roof of the van along with 420 watts of solar. So let's get into the install. The AC unit ships by freight and it's pretty heavy, so make sure you get a lift gate on the delivery if you don't have a forklift. Took me about a week to get it. Then on to the unboxing. Oh, that's a big box for that. So that's the wiring harness. Yeah, that's all the wires. Pretty heavy duty wires. It's nice because it comes with all enclosed with the wire loom to run it in. There's the wiring harness, some kind of a gasket or pad. We'll find out what that is. And this is very important. This is the template to cut the hole in the roof. So it's a little bit bigger, well, a lot bigger than you would have with a roof fan. So it's going to be about almost 19, like 18 7/8 wide by 15 1/4. So that's going to be the size of the cutout on the roof. So here is some more wiring, some more gasket material or padding. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. The bolts. This right here I am not going to be using. This you could mount inside your van and have the air conditioning, you know, the unit part of it that sits into the van. But this thing is huge and it's ugly. What I'm going to be doing is just making a little frame out of the same wood that I use on my ceiling, either pine or poplar, and making a box around it just to fit that. So I won't be using this. And then there's a couple of bars. These bars mount underneath. So the air conditioner sits on the roof, and then these sit underneath, and these long bolts go up, down through there and hold it onto the roof. So that's what those bars are. Got a lot of packaging for not a lot of stuff. And finally, looks like the actual air conditioning unit. It's a big old thing. So here's what's actually going to sit on top of the roof. Oh, this looks like this will just come right off. So this is the front, the back of the unit. Tip it up so you can see the part that's going to sit down in. So this is the part that's going to sit down through that cutout in the roof. And this part will actually be inside of the van. And then I'll make a little trim. So that's all you're going to see inside. So it's a big unit, but you won't see most of it. And it comes with a remote, which is nice. Control it either from the actual controls on the unit or with the remote. And now onto the installation. The first thing I'm going to do is cut the hole in the roof. So I taped a box up, and it didn't tape very well with all the insulation I had, so I ended up having my wife just hold the box. But I put that there just to pick up the metal shavings. Now, I decided not to cut the hole as big as the template that they give you. Like I said, it's about 15 1/4 from front to back and about 19 inches across. And I follow several people online who have installed these, and they all use smaller holes. So I started out with a hole just barely big enough for that insert that goes through the roof to fit. And with that, I had to do a little cutout for the wiring harness. But what I found is that that wasn't quite big enough because you've got those long bolts that I showed you that are going to go up through and into the AC unit and hold those bars in place. And that's what kind of holds down the whole unit. And with that, you need to have room to do those. So the minimum room that you need on the width is about 17 1/2 inches. The 15 1/4 works front to back, but I would recommend going somewhere between 17 1/2 and the 19 that they give you on the template. Now here I'm just roughing up the paint with 220 grit sandpaper. They give you that gasket material to put on with an adhesive, but I used window weld. I put a bead of window weld first, and then I put that gasket down. And so roughing up the paint just makes a mechanical bond, so that window weld and the padding or the gasket adhere really well. Then I just hit it with Rust-Oleum paint to make sure there was no rusting. My camera battery died, and so I didn't get this on video, but I'm going to explain to you how I did this. I used window weld, and I put a bead of that down on the roof, and then I just put that rubber gasket material on top of that. I didn't use the thick one, I just used the thinner one. Then I put a bead of window weld all the way around the edge to seal that. Now before I put the gasket down, I used butyl tape and kind of built up between the ribs of the roof to make everything even. I think that helps quite a bit. We waited 24 hours for the window weld to cure, and then my son came over and helped me get it up on the roof. Just make sure that you don't set it down right side up, because it could damage the vents. So you want to make sure you keep it upside down. We put it up onto the roof, and then we climbed up on the roof to put it in place. And we test fitted it through the hole just to make sure everything was right. And you got to make sure that you have that wiring harness through like that. And then we lifted it back out, and we put a bead of window weld along the top of the gasket to make sure everything was sealed really well. Then we just went ahead and put it back into place. And again, you want to make sure that that wiring harness is going down through the roof and that it's not rubbing against the edge of the metal. Then it was back inside the van to attach the bolts. Now remember, I talked about those bars. There are some little threaded inserts that go into the bottom of the air conditioner, and these bolts go up through those or into those threaded inserts. So you want to just snug that up, make sure everything's in position correctly, and then go ahead and tighten the bolts. You want to kind of tighten them a little bit at a time all the way around, so it doesn't pull one side of the air conditioning unit down more than the other, because you do have that padding that's about 1 inch thick, and if you were to crank down a bolt on one side, then it could kind of squish that and kink that. So just kind of go around, work your way around a little bit at a time. So that's it for the install. It was pretty easy, took me about 2.5 to 3 hours. The instructions are not great, and so hopefully this video helps you to be able to do it a little bit easier with some tips I learned along the way. I'll be doing a full review on this air conditioning unit once I get it hooked up, and stay tuned for that video. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.